oh, the starting number 10 must be terrible, even though the team scored 22 goals in 7 games with him starting and playing.
He also has 20 plus goal contributions this season, but those don't count after he had 30 plus goal contributions last season. But none of those count either because they came against bad teams or teams that were down a man in like 2 cases.
My next agenda, Noah, is the Seattle actually doesn't need a U22 number 9 agenda. So I'm going to start with that, and then there's a second part to it. But I just think, like, doesn't the Osaze thing have to at least, I'm not saying it means they shouldn't sign a number 9, not saying that, but doesn't it that at least have to change how you think of it a little bit? Doesn't it?
Yeah, why not?
I'm literally not tripping that No Ohio's not on this team right now because they have like intriguing high upside young forward who is scoring goals that there's a lot of potential for. And that's like that is the lure of a U22 number 9, is it not? And then, like I said earlier, like if you do bring in a U22 number 9, that is at the expense of Osaze. Like it is. That's what those minutes are. So that you're sort of cutting off that experiment in the middle of when it looks like it's working to bring in like an unproven commodity, you know? And I think when you have assets like Moose, who is not like a super big money player, he's on like a decently big number, but he's not like one of your highest paid players. And then Osaze, who's a Defiance kid who you brought up internally, and you got those guys scoring goals for not a lot of money. It's not about like it's about resource allocation, right? It's not smart to like spend your budgeted resources that you have on an area of the field where you already have production, right? So like I think at least from that standpoint, it's definitely like in my mind that it's that when you have a player like Osaze emerging, it should at least be in your mind that maybe we don't need to spend those resources there. Like is that wrong?
I don't think it's wrong in a general sense. Like I can totally see where your argument's coming from. And also I have to say, like, a player like Noah Ohio is going to give you a standard of quality a lot closer to something that Jordan Morris can bring than what Osaze brings right now. Like
Osaze, but you don't know that.
Sure, but I think like who he is now and what he is and his technical abilities and the things that differentiate him from a player like Osaze, who Osaze is really good at getting into dangerous areas. Jeremiah has alluded to this a lot, and I really like his take on it. So I'm just going to kind of parrot it, which is he's not technically gifted. He's trips over himself sometimes, and he's not the best on the ball, but he really knows how to press back the defense and get into dangerous positions. And people, if they can find him with the ball, he can put a shot on goal. And that's kind of that hold up play and that attacking play that does work with the Sounders in the current system that they're going for. But I think the idea, at least for signing a 9 that Craig Weibel and company have, is that you want someone more dynamic for when inevitably this team has to change identities again. Because that's just the truth, is like you have to be able to be flexible in that position. And you currently have 2 backups who are very similar in their style of play. I think Moose is more dynamic than Osaze, but it's just kind of like 3 really big trees in the center of the field, and you have really good dynamic wing play. But what if that changes and you need more of a creative 9? And I think that was just the idea with having a different type of 9, a different type of piece to be able to slot in there, and a type of player who can maybe play on the wing if needed, or can move around and be a little bit more dynamic, because you're not putting Osaze anywhere but the 9, and you're sure not putting Moose anywhere but the 9. So that's kind of, I think, where their idea is there. And so I tend to agree with that idea, just simply because, not that I don't like Osaze and not that I don't like Moose and what they've been able to do, but like, there has to be some sort of plan at some point for something, at least a different look. And Moose is on a contract year this year, I believe. Is that correct? Or
I'm not sure. We'll have to double check.
Okay, regardless, let's say he's in within 1 or 2 years of his contract. Like that's,
and he's probably earned like
a bigger deal. So I think
another team is going to be willing to pay him a lot more money to do what he's doing for Seattle this year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely
bag, but I think that is truly the idea, is that like the writing's on the wall there. And if you can get in a 9 that's a lot more dynamic than him, you still have Jordan Morris, who can perform in that kind of hold up play, burst of speed, but also like this kind of just tree trunk 9 vibe. That's my new. I'm gonna trademark that
The
tree
tree
trunk
nine, tree
9.
trunk 9.
Yeah. And then you still have Osaze there as a kind of third option or similar to Moose option.
Yeah, and you are gonna have to think about like the life in the era beyond Jordan Morris
Yeah.
eventually.
I don't even know if he's gonna make it back ever again. Like I genuinely, not as like some
Ever?
facetious thing, but it's just like
I mean,
think
it's a
he'll come back.
shoulder. He busted his shoulder.
Yeah, but it's just like, dude keeps getting hurt. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I tend to think.
Don't hang it up, Jordan. Don't hang it up, bro. Please.
I tend to like when I look at the year he's had this year. I think it's pretty just disgustingly unlucky.
So
like the shoulder thing. Like what are you supposed to do about that?
Anything about
like
that? Yeah.
Like if it's one of the hamstring muscle injuries, I still think that's probably attributable to bad luck. But you get people who are like, oh, hamstring FC, like you can't blah blah. The shoulder thing, like it's a freak play where he like collides with the goalkeeper and flips over.
Yeah.
So like I don't think necessarily the year he's had this year is indicative of like he's gonna keep getting hurt continuously, knock on wood. But like you are gonna have to like he's he's past 30. So you are gonna have to think about that eventually. But I guess what I wouldn't want them to do is like we were talking about, like panic sign the U22 9 in this window with that like idea if it's not the guy that they like really believe in and think that can actually take up that mantle. And I think like here's the thing about planning on succeeding Jordan Morris with a U22 number 9. Look at what happened with Dejan Joveljic. They hit on that. He looked like a centerpiece type of player, and then they couldn't afford him.
Well, yeah, but that's different because the LA Galaxy are the worst managed roster in the entire
league.
But
all right, so maybe
their GM should be fired. That's my take.
But don't you think there's like a reality where if they sign a U22 number 9 and that's how they do it, like even if that player hits, which is like, that's a dice roll in itself. But if that player does hit and they're banging in goals for the Seattle Sounders and they look like this like really big hit of U22, that they're probably going to have to sell that guy.
Maybe, but you're still getting a bag and they're still banging in goals and you're still producing and you're going to be able to sign a DP number 9 maybe at that point with the profit that you've been able to generate from your U22 number 9. I really do think that especially at the price point that they were at, a player like Noah Ohio, I think that was a great move. I don't think that if they were really truly like, we have to sign someone right now, the world is ending, they would make a signing. I don't think they're going to make a signing there. And if they do, I don't know if I'm going to be happy with that. Like, I think that I was all for the Noah Ohio signing. I thought that type of profile,
I was too. Like, I don't want people to
get
it. I don't want people to get it twisted. I'm more like talking about how I think of it now that it didn't happen. And so that brings to me my second part of the agenda, which is that what if they actually use it on like a center mid, like an area of the field that we've talked about a lot this year of they have 2 of the top 5 players like at their like position at that area of the field starting week in, week out right now. And
they're not number 3.
It's a phenomenal starting duo. But like behind that, we've seen kind of what's happened. Like they have no one to really there's clearly no one that Schmetz feels like fully confident in soaking up a lot of minutes behind those guys to be able to rest them and rotate them out. And the result has been they've been playing, I think, too many minutes this year. Like we've seen them gassing at certain points. Christian, I think in particular, it's like he's playing just so many minutes. It would just be nice to have a high level player at that spot that can spell these guys more. And I think we'll see what happens with Obed, but I'm still anticipating that he's going to get sold to a European team. And then at that point, like you're going to need to address that area of the field anyway. We like what we've seen from Snyder B, but then that's still just one guy, right? So you need depth at that area of the field. And also, like, I think it could be a fun opportunity to sign that like kind of classic number 6 that we've been talking about, the JP replacement, effectively. Like, what if they scouted
Which
up?
He's still on the club, by the way. Like, he will be back this season. To what effect? I don't know, because he wasn't looking great before the injury.
I mean, it's also like no matter how he looks when he comes back, he's 33.
That's exactly.
I'm talking like future building blocks. Yeah. So it's gonna be a roster need for sure. And like I just think that like a pure number 6, kind of like the destroyer enforcer type. If you could, maybe it's a little harder to find that in a U22 profile. I feel like there hasn't been as many of those that have that MLS teams have used that mechanism to sign. But if they found a sick player like that, I almost feel like that's a more prudent use of this resource than signing a 9 who I think you laid out correctly all the reasons why like a Noah Ohio type signing would have made sense. But I just think this is another area of the field that you're going to need to address. And kind of fundamentally, I feel like they're showing this year that they can get by at that spot in ways that's not necessarily breaking the bank on it. And I get that maybe it feels like more exciting, or maybe you're capping your true upside by not having like a type of player like that in that striker spot. But I mean, we'll see if they can sustain it. But I look at it right now and I'm like, this team is scoring goals like nothing. You know, what they don't have is anyone to spell Christian or Obed that anyone feels like super confident about. So I don't know, just an idea, food for thought. But
I think both are true. I think that's the beauty of it, is that both things are correct. Like, I think that you are very correct in saying that there's a need for depth there, especially if Obed does move on, which, like, there is a possibility that he stays here one more year if the right deal doesn't come in. And he does. I mean, this is not my take on it. This is Nico's take on it, is that if the right deal doesn't come, I don't think he's in a rush to get out and not be in MLS and not be on the Sounders. Like, he has his starting role. He knows what he's going to do. He knows he can continue to elevate and ball out. Like, here, it's just he'll wait for the right deal. And I think the Sounders will as well, because they do care about his future and making sure that they get a good sell-on percentage from him and make sure they do all this, this stuff to what makes sense. Because, yeah, $10 million from Tigres or whatever rumors, that they don't want that. He wants to go to Europe, and that's probably where he's going to go. And if it's not there, it's not there. But to the point of the 6, like, I think that's true too. I think you should sign a 9 and a 6, U22 or not. I think that's just the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, like, whatever spot they use the U22 on, like, they're gonna make probably signings like for the other one, regardless.
If I was gonna panic sign someone, I would panic sign a 6 rather than a 9. But that's me.
It feels like there's like less like stakes on that if you miss, maybe, then.
Well, I just think it's more of a need, right? Like, you don't need to panic sign a 9 right now, but you sure could use an enforcer 6 to back up what you already have, even if it's an interleague trade.
That's the reason I kind of, if you found the right guy, like a U22 there could kind of cook, because it's like you have options there already, and you don't need them to be like the superstar right away, but you can kind of bring them up and hopefully develop them, right? And obviously Craig Wybes has said, like, he wants them to be able to contribute right away, so you would need them to be able to do
you don't want them to,
but like, it's like you don't need them to like carry the load necessarily right off rip, which
I think people misinterpret what he's saying there. Like, maybe he is. I guess we should ask him. We should get him on the pod. Craig, I know you said you would come on. We'll get you on. But I think it's less of a we want to. I think they just don't want a player who has to like play for the Defiance or has to like really kind of slowly work his way into the team. They want to be able to bring him in as a sub or bring him in as a secondary option, and not necessarily. But it's not saying that they have to be a player who's going to start and play game in, game out. I don't think that's not what I got, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, this next one should be pretty short. It's just called the Let Snyder Brichta Cook agenda. I love what I've seen from him so far. I mean, obviously the goal was one of the best moments of the season so far. That's like, I live for stuff like that, man. The 18-year-old MLS debutant scoring like right after subbing on, celebrating with the other Defiance guys. The rest of the team and the whole bench are going crazy. He gets like he gives a speech in the locker room after the game. That rocked. That was the best part of that was the Snyder B goal. But I mean, don't you think like he's looked better than I expected, just in terms of how he's like playing within the system and like how kind of natural he looks playing with the first team already. Like, I would have said that outside of the goal. It's not a situation where he looked like it's different because Snyder's quite a bit older, but like Kevin Sullivan has been playing for the Union first team, and it has not looked like that. Like, he hasn't looked comfortable or like he's kind of ready to play with the first team yet. And that's normal. Like, a lot of young players who are just breaking
they can't all be Oberdis.
Yeah, exactly. It takes them a while to be able to adapt to the level, adapt to the speed of the game, adapt to playing actual games with the first team as opposed to training with them. And I just feel like Snyder has looked like he's just slotted right in there and looks like if he had to start an MLS game tomorrow, I would not be like tripping that hard about that. I mean, I would be like, that's kind of maybe a question mark because he hasn't done it yet, but I would feel pretty confident that he could do it based on what I've seen so far. So all this is all to say that I hope he actually gets run, it's hard to come by on this team, but as we just talked about, this area of the field, there is a role there for someone to spell these guys in the double pivot. I would love to see him take it. And it's almost like, just you're linked to all these transfer rumors with one of them, just bring the next one right up and he's already looking good. What have you thought of Snyder so far?
No, I think he's looked great. He's a secondary assist on the goal that will be winning the Puskás. He came into that game.
Exactly. That's a good example of how he already, he helped cause that sequence and he had to dodge a guy to do it. And he looked natural doing it. And they got the best goal in club history out of that sequence. So.
Yeah, he scores in the final minutes. And sure, you can say, we always like to caveat the game state of both of those games were so far gone that okay, maybe not. But yeah, that's fine. Him playing in those moments and actually still performing and building up his own confidence is the best possible thing for a player, right? That's legitimately the dream scenario for a coach and a player to be able to put you in a situation to succeed with first team minutes. And he's done that. And I think he's looked really good, and I've loved it, and I am very pro. We're a pro Snyder pod. We've been a pro Snyder pod, and it's really cool to see another homegrown, academy kid get run at that DM position, which Sounders are goalkeeper and DM university out here, man.
Yeah, and not to reopen this can of worms, but that's another thing that I think you got to credit, and it's not just Craig Wybes. There's a lot of
shout out Henry Bronner.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much staff and stuff that goes into youth development and the academy and Tacoma Defiance and all that. But seeing Snyder B come, it's I think just the academy and the youth development's in a really good place right now. And this is just the latest example. And it also gives you, what if a banger offer does come in for a bed? If they take that, and that elevates Snyder into a more prominent role, that you can't cover for it any better than that theoretically, than a homegrown player. So
next man up mentality, Ari.
Next man up mentality. All right, you had the last two topics for us here, so why don't you bring us in?
Well, I think we can also be quick on this one, but this is this is honestly, I was trying to egg on people to ask you this in the post-game call-in show, which is, Ari, looks like the Sounders are fine without Albert Rusnak playing. It seems like the Seattle Sounders might be just fine with Jesus Ferreira at the 10 and Albert Rusnak. Maybe he was a bad DP signing. I don't know, Ari. I don't know. Gator right now for those.
Yeah,
who know.
Yeah. Well, what I think is funny about this agenda is that everyone who is a purveyor of this should realize something, which is what you're really doing with this agenda. And let's be clear about what you're doing. You're complimenting Jesus Ferreira. That's what you're doing. You're looking at it and you're like, wow, the offense is still functioning at such a high level and they scored 4 goals without the starting number 10 in there. How is that happening? And then the leap they make is because, the starting number 10 must be terrible, even though the team scored 22 goals in 7 games with him starting and playing every minute almost before that. And he also has 20 plus goal contributions this season, but those don't count after he had 30 plus goal contributions last season. But none of those count either because they came against bad teams or teams that were down a man in 2 cases. So that means that my prior that he's bad has been validated. No, what you're doing is saying man, the guy who was playing the number 10 was running the offense really damn well, who is also a guy that these same people hold up as an example of why Craig Wybes is incompetent. So really, you're also backhandedly complimenting Craig Wybes as well. It's that has I don't even know how Rusnak got involved in that. That's a pro for Jesus Ferreira agenda is what that is. So I agree with it in that respect.
I have nothing else to say. That was your greatest cook in a long time, honestly. You're cooking, Chris. Garth, you're cooking.
All right, yeah, I think that's all we need to say on that one. Like, how could you look at how Rusnak played in Leagues Cup and think anything other than, wow, that guy was on freaking fire?
At this point, listen. At this point, the purveyors of the agenda, they're just doing it as a bit. They have to, because he's literally one of the best number 10s in the league. So it's like, should we even? I feel like from now on, like, we just don't even have to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
we still will, because it's
we
content.
still will because it's
But
content. I have more I could say on this.
Hit it. Say it.
Well, it's just like, I think I've said this before, but there has to become a point where stat sheet production like can't be called fake. Like, you can't, if the product, I judge a number 10 or any attacking player like that on, like, are they getting goal contributions first and foremost? If they are doing that at a level that justifies their status on the team and what they're paid, then that's anything past that, it has to be something galaxy brained that I don't understand, because I think what it is, what they pivoted to is like he's lazy and he doesn't play defense, but like that feels like a cop out to me, because the stats have been undeniable for a while now. But like, I guess if you're going to dismiss the stats, the goal contributions as fake, then you got to just explain like why it is and what you mean by that, because it literally doesn't stand up to statistical like what literally is happening statistically. You see what I'm saying? Like,
well, they want him to be playing the 6 now because he's playing the 10 too good. They're like, no. He's not defending. He's lazy.
Yeah.
So he's not playing.
He was insane in Leagues Cup. He had 3 goals that got disallowed on like very borderline offside calls.
And those count, as opposed to the ones that don't count. Those count.
Two of which were like, remember the one in was it the Santos game? It was just an absolute banger off the Rothrock assist. It pains me that didn't count, because that was such a sick goal. And then, dude, also the one in the last game, the Cholos game, where Ryan Kent hit him on Osaze was like slightly offside, but hit Ryan Kent, and then Ryan Kent hit him with the no looker, and it was just such a good far post finish. Just Osaze was a tiny bit offside, but man, he was cooking.
God, I'm so sad Ryan Kent is now perma out, because he was starting to look so good again.
I know. So it's very
Ryan. This is your, please get well. We love you genuinely. You have been.
I would be happy to have him back.
Yeah, I would genuinely, and we would love to have you on the pod as well. Like, you have been my number 1 this season that I wanted to get on.
That would be a good one. We might be able to make that.
I heard he might have a little more free time.